Obas, I'm Jack the Greek and welcome back for another episode. Today is a very special one. We're going to start from the garden and come to the Crossroad Barbecue. And you're going to ask, what are we going to cook? Well, we're going to cook some kolokasi. Yes, it's a traditional Cypriot dish and we're going to cook it on the Crossroad Barbecue with some beautiful chicken. Now, come over here, Jack the Greek's backyard, to show you the kolokasi. Here we are. We have Mickey here, our beautiful dog. And here we are, in the backyard, in the corner, we have our beautiful kolokasi that we're growing. And as you can see it, look at the beautiful leaves. And it's this time of year, it's September, and it's time to harvest our beautiful kolokasi. I'll show you how we're going to do that now. You can see now that I've dug a bit of a hole, I've got rid of a bit of the dirt, and you can see there's 3 trunks. These 2 little trunks we're going to reharvest for next year. It's the middle one that we're going to cook with today. So I'm just going to pull this one out and you'll see. Look at this. Pull it now. Opas. And there we have it. That kolokasi we're going to keep and replant for next year. And of course, here's the big one, just here. So we're going to be careful and we'll just keep digging around until we can get it out. As you can see, we've loosened the soil and we can pull out the second one. This one here will be kept again for next year. And of course, the last one, here it is. Pulling it out. Opas. There we go. There's our kolokasi. It's all this down here, the root system, and all down here is what we're going to be eating. So we're going to clean this up and I'll show you what it looks like. So we've brushed off as much of the dirt as we could. So let's now take it to our bench. All the way back to where we were. There we go, beautiful. Opas. Look at this. There's our beautiful kolokasi. Look at that, huh? Opas. Now, we're just going to keep cleaning it, and what we're going to do is we're going to rinse it with water, and then we're going to start cutting off all these little roots and bringing back the actual core root, which is the kolokasi. And I'll show you how we're going to cut that up in a minute. We're back now. We've just taken it around the corner, got the hose onto it, and got rid of all the dirt. And as you can see, we're just left with the roots. So the next step, you can either hold it up here and cut your roots off like this, one by one, or you can cut it about here. Now what we want to do is, you can see all the leaves, they're a waste unfortunately, and this is where the root actually starts, just here. If you come in close, you'll see the difference between this section and the leaves. Now if you look at these here, just here, and we're not going to make this into a gardening lesson, but it's Jack the Greek's cooking show, but they're called bulya. They're the ones that come up from the side and you can regrow, like you saw me cut off earlier. So what we're going to do, to make sure it's a bit easier for us and safety with a knife, we're going to hold it here and we're going to just cut all the roots off. Okay, so you can see it only takes a couple of minutes, but I've got rid of all the roots. Now there's still a little bit to clean up, but I'm going to let it dry first for a couple of days before I clean it up, and I'll clean up the rest of it just before we're about to cook it. The last bit is to grab a big knife, just like this, and cut off about 1 inch above the root. That's where you want to cut it, just to be safe. There you go there, look at that. Opas. And we'll put that away just there. And then we can start sort of cutting back a little bit and just making sure that we don't miss any bits, just like that. There we go. Look at that beautiful kolokasi. And that's it. There we have it. We have our kolokasi. We're going to let that sit for a couple of days to dry out. And then we're going to plate it up with chicken or pork. For me, traditional Cypriot dish with kolokasi, we're going to make it with pork. And we're going to cook it on the Crossroad Barbecue. I'll see you shortly. Opa. Opa, I'm Jack the Greek, and welcome back for another episode. What a windy day it is today, but of course, we're going to keep cooking outdoors because no weather's going to stop us with Jack the Greek. And of course, we have our Crossroad Barbecue. And today, you can see in front of me, we have our kolokasi. Yes, that's the kolokasi that came from my backyard a couple of days ago. We've had it in the fridge, just resting, and now it's ready. Kolokasi we're going to make today is a traditional, nice and simple recipe, just using some pork, celery and onion, and of course some imported gignos tomatoes, and we can't forget our olive oil. We're going to cook it all on the Crossroad Barbecue in 3 stages. We're going to sear our pork, our kolokasi, and then we're going to make our sauce, and then we're going to combine all the ingredients. It should take us about 10 minutes to get that ready, but then after that it's going to sit there like a stew for about 45 minutes with all burners on low. So first thing we're going to do is get the kolokasi ready. See, the kolokasi just sits like that at the moment, but that was underground, like that. That's the root of the tree. And that's how it is. But the first thing we're going to do is take off all this skin. You can use a knife, just like this, and slowly cut it off, or you can also just use a peeler. It really depends on what you're more comfortable with. I'm going to get cutting and peeling. I'll be back in a couple of minutes. And there we go. We nearly finished it. Our kolokasi. We've peeled off all the outside layer. And of course, my lovely daughter just reminded me, from all my other English followers, kolokasi in English is called taro. There you go, nice and clean. So we'll put that in the bowl just there for now. And there's a couple of other bits that I had. And in a minute I'm going to show you how we're going to cut it up. But let's clean up our bench first. Okay, so I'm just cleaning the last bit of the taro, or the kolokasi, or the outside of it. And there we go. And we have it back here. So here it is, just there. Now what we're going to do is the pieces that we want to cut, in this example, it's probably just like this. This is the size that we want. Just clean the bottom of that. Just like this. Now there's a trick to cutting it. I've never cut kolokasi like this. Traditionally you'd think you just slice it down, cut some nice squares out of it. But what people say is just cut and break. Just like this. Like that. Different size pieces. Like that. That's what they say. So I'm going to give it a go. This is both a similar recipe to my mother's, who's actually Greek, who learns it from her Cypriot friends and family, but it's also very similar to my mother-in-law's. And I'd like to say hi to them in Brisbane. And there we are. We'll just keep cutting it, just like this, till we get to the bottom. And there we have it. A couple more pieces and we're all done. So let's put that aside, because the first thing that we're going to do, and what we're going to put in the crossroad barbecue and brown and sear, is our pork, not our taro or our kolokasi, because that's just going to go too soft at the end if it's sitting there for too long. So the next thing we're going to do is grab our pork. So we've got our pork, and you're going to ask me, what pork do we use? Well, you're going to use pork neck for this. Beautiful, nice piece of pork neck from our friends at Mario's Meats. How big are the sizes? We're probably about 3 sizes of an ice cube. And I'll show you here how we're going to cut it. Just across here. We're going to cut it all the way down. Just like this. And we've got our chunks like that. And then we're going to cut them about this size, just like this. There we go. Beautiful. You don't have to think about it too much. But there, just a piece like that. Maybe it's a bit big. Cut that in half. Sizes and pieces depends on how big your casserole is going to be. For me, I'm probably going to need just another line, this much more pork, and that's probably about ½ kilo of pork neck. Beautiful, just like this. Opa. Then we're going to put this in the crossroad barbecue, and while we're there, I might as well quickly just put it in the pan, just like this. Put it in. We'll take the lid off, because we've got the oil already there, and we'll just let that warm up in a couple of minutes, and then we'll put in our pork. Salt, pepper is all we're going to use, in our spices today for this meal. I'd say maybe a couple more pieces we might use. So I'll cut some here from this side here. Keep this piece for maybe some pork grasato with patates. What do we call that? Atinactes. So there we go. There's our pork. Now it's time to put that into the pan in our crossroad barbecue. Coming close. There we have it. You can see now. Yes, warmed up already. Put it in. We'll sear it for about 2 or 3 minutes. And you can see if it's enough by just how it spreads out on your pan. That's probably enough like that, because what you want to do next is make sure that the kolokasi or your taro sits nicely on top. Okay, so you can see there how our pork is nice and brown. And that's taken around 5 minutes. And I have turned on the burners a little bit higher than on low, just to crisp it up towards the end. But I'm going to turn them down again in a couple of minutes as I put in the taro of course our kolokasi. So there we are. We're going to use the same oil, no difference, and we're going to put the taro straight in. There we go. Look at that. Beautiful. There we go. Excellent. That there is also going to fry up now, similar to what potatoes would. Brown the potatoes, brown the taro, the kolokasi the same way, 5 or 6 minutes, and we'll be ready then to make our sauce. So now you can see as well, our beautiful taro, our kolokasi, is ready. When I say ready, it's been browned. So let's just put that as well in our bowl. And then the next step, if you remember, I did say it is a 3-step process. We are going to make our sauce. I'm going to keep again the same olive oil that we've used from the start in our pan, because you want to keep all the flavours together. There we go. Nice and warm, the pan. Put that there. Don't go too far away. Come back in close. Move the pan in a bit and put in the onion. Just like that. Beautiful. Put in our celery as well. Just like that. And at this point I'm going to put a little bit of salt. Just like this. And there we are. And we're going to just let that wither before we put the red sauce. Okay, so we'll give that a couple more minutes, but while we're here, let's just refresh. We had some beautiful pork neck that we browned and seared on the crossroad barbecue. We then put in our taro, our beautiful kolokasi, and then we've started making our sauce. Onion, celery, and now we're going to put in our Greek tomatoes as well. So come in close and I'll show you this step. And of course, there will be a moment where we're going to have to put a little bit of water as well. So there's our tomato, just like that. And I don't want to lose all our tomatoes. I'm just going to put a dash of water now, but the main water will be a little bit later. So I just want to make sure that we've got all the tomato out of the can. There we are. So we're going to move that around, just like this. The pepper will go in at the end, on top of our kolokasi, our taro. You're not yet. So we're going to leave that, and you can see that just by looking at the level of fluids, it's probably okay for now, but we might need to put in probably another half a cup as we are preparing our sauce. But we'll leave it for a couple of minutes. This is it, guys. It's the final stage before we put the lid on our kolokasi, putting all the ingredients together and not forgetting a bit more pepper at the end. You can see, nice and hot. Our sauce is boiling and cooking away. Now we just put our kreasi, just like that on top. There we go. And we just move it around and push it down, right down to the bottom, just like that. There you go. See how it's enough? See how many pieces I said earlier when we were frying it? You want to sort of balance it like that. And then of course with our kolokasi as well, we're just going to put a layer of kolokasi just on it like this. Beautiful. There we have it. Just move it around. Use your fingers, that's okay. Just like that. Beautiful. Push that down a little bit. And fit a couple more pieces on the other side. We don't want to waste any of our kolokasi. It's been sitting in the ground, in the backyard, for nearly 12 months. There we go. We've got a beautiful kolokasi in there. So that's what it's going to look like. But we're going to put a bit more water in there now to bring the flavours of the tomato and the celery and the onion to the top. So what we're going to do is put about a cup. Just bring it up to about 1 centimetre below the top of the pan. There we go. Just there. And of course, love to put a bit of freshly ground pepper on top. Just like this. There we go. Beautiful. Look at that. Excellent. And a little bit more salt as well is what I would suggest. Put on top, just like this. Beautiful. There we go. And what we do next is we'll grab our lid, put it on top, leave it there for about 40 minutes. But of course, we're going to come and check it back in about 20, give it a bit of a shuffle, and then come back again and serve it up. See you soon. Back now. It's been around 45 minutes, nearly 50 minutes. Coming close, and we're nearly there. We've got one more step to go. Whoa, look at this. Look at this beautiful kolokasi. Oh, boss. And the last step The last step that we need to do now is lemoni. We're going to put some lemon. And as you can see, I've got the lemon from the backyard as well. So we had the kolokasi from the backyard and the lemons from the backyard for this dish. And we're going to put about a lemon, entire lemon. And you don't do this any earlier. You do it at the end. You put it like that, and the other half as well. Just put it all over the top. And give that about another 1 or 2 minutes now, just to finish up. And we can leave the lid off, give it a bit of a wiggle like that, opas. And there we are. Give it 2 minutes, and it's ready to plate up. So let's just take it off now and have a look. A beautiful dish. Opas. Look at that. Opa. Huh? Our beautiful Cypriot Style Kolokasi. I'm not going to plate it up on a plate today. I'm going to leave it like this, and I'm going to let the family just attack it and put it in their plate as they wish. Beautiful. Look at that. Opas. How could you go wrong? Homegrown Kolokasi, Taro, I should say. Beautiful. Celery, some canned tomatoes, some beautiful pork neck, squeeze a lemon at the end, and you've got a beautiful traditional Cypriot meal. Cooked on the Crossroad Barbecue. For all my friends who follow me on YouTube and Facebook, thanks again. I hope you enjoyed this meal from Jack the Greek. Opa.